opening up a lager for the viewing.
Excellent. Glad to hear it,
Bruce, and hello all our other viewers, however many there are. No, Bruce, it's just you.
Hey, Bruce.
Hi, Bruce. Evening, Bruce. How you doing, mate? I hope you're well.
Bruce is opening up a can of lager for the evening. Oh, no, for the viewing, which is just as well, because we were just discussing this may not be a very long session. On the other hand, it may be the longest session we've broadcast so far, because I am asking Dave and Tony, or should I say Oshian and Yaqub, to make a decision. And as we all know, that's something that generally takes a lot of time, and whatever they say they're going to do first of all, it's going to be the thing that is the opposite of what
absolutely don't do. Yeah. So set your alarm clocks for 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then that'll be about when we'll finish this. Hey, Mohammed. Cool. Great to see you.
So the decision. So should we kill the innocent people or not? Or should we...
Yes.
Yeah, we should just murder them. Oh no, hang on.
Yeah. Let's murder them and
talk about it for an hour and then decide not to.
Shall we start off by talking about the events of the last couple of weeks, just to catch both of you up, because some of you weren't here for 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And maybe we can expand on some of that if necessary.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So seeing I wasn't here for one of them, off you go, Tone.
We were sent by our employers, the Esteban, to assassinate Samesh Alim as a Zolossian
a member of the Zolossian High Council,
Grand Master of the Order of the Friar, who was claimed was fomenting distrust in the Third Horizon. It was basically trying to it was basically warmongering. It's going to cause a big war. So we were sent to assassinate him. To help us with that, we hired our old chum Karif, who also hired in another couple of...
I'm not sure I'd ever go as far as to call Karif a chum. He was just
somebody we knew.
Hot-blooded murderer that we hired for some hot-blooded murdering.
I think he may have saved Tony's life, however, when Tony was attacked by the beast in the maze in the basement of
Coriolis. Yeah.
So Tony may feel he's quite chummy with the bloke who saved his life, because I seem to remember, I can't quite remember exactly how it went down, Tony, but I seem to remember the beast attacked you.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Just pretty much brought it down with one blow.
With his talent, wasn't it? His let me kill anything I hit talent. Yeah.
Yes, which he forgot to use when he was attacking Samesh Alim.
Oh yeah.
He only scored a very low level crit on Samesh Alim and forgot to swap the numbers around to do a more dangerous one. But I wasn't going to remind him. I'm all about player agency. So anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting. Carry on.
Anyway, Samesh Alim, so we were there. So we had Karif and the two highly trained, efficient assassins that he also employed, Zaki and Maybe.
Bumbling Muppets. Well, particularly Zaki, who I don't mean to be calling Mohammed a bumbling Muppet here, but
that's a bit harsh.
He having the one thing he didn't want to do was go and get spotted by some Mirren dignitary for being the bad guy or mirror that he was. What did he do? He went and got spotted by a Mirren dignitary.
Well, to be fair, he didn't do that. It was Darkness Points that did it, because I had plenty to spend, and I spent them on that happening. I will just point out I still have plenty to spend. So, just beware of that in your decision-making process. And he did turn off the defensive towers by a fluke of.
Well, when we get that far in the story, I will explain.
You'll give him credit for that.
What I think has happened subsequently.
Right,
but we'll come to that in a moment.
Back to you then, Tony.
So we infiltrated the. Before then, the Salim did obviously realise we were in the area and planning to kill him. his intelligence obviously gave him that information, and he contacted us and suggested that actually we might want to join him instead rather than assassinate him. He was a member of an organisation called the Cold Flame, who are basically who are aware of the butterfly ships being from the First Horizon that are coming and are causing a massive threat to the Third Horizon, and this organisation, the Cold Flame, was working to fight against this threat, and suggesting that we join with him in this fight against the butterfly ships in the First Horizon, and so that if we infiltrate the Mirren delegation and turn up at the ceremony that they were going to, wearing something red, then that would indicate that we would be joining him. So we replied to that and said, well, we're interested in what you've got to say, but we're not ready to commit yet, so we'd quite like to have a chat. And he basically agreed to that. So then with Zaki's help, we infiltrated the Mirren delegation that was going to this ceremony. Myself, Zaki, and maybe were the three that went. Oshian and Kerry stayed back on the ship.
Or as maybe is known from now on, the traitor, maybe.
I don't know whether you ever worked out that maybe had been a traitor.
No, not in play, not in character, no, probably not.
Somebody poisoned him, but I know that Tony didn't spot anything, and he was talking to him at the time.
So we went, and we did talk to him, and I would kind of, with my very good judge of character, judged that Samesh Aleem was in fact sincere in his belief that this Cold Flame organisation were fighting a genuine threat against the Third Horizon. But
he also gave you a data stick with some data, some intelligence.
So so suggesting that we then go back and try and persuade our supposed masters that actually they should maybe work with Samesh Aleem rather than assassinate him. He gave us some information, which was a list of potential spies for the Nazarene sacrifice.
Yep.
Somebody somewhere, I can't remember where. I've probably got written down somewhere. I can't remember where they were.
Yeah, so I'm just looking them up now. So there's a number of them. So there's a cell of Nazarene agents in the village of Ketchi on Ordana, and there's a number of them. Bazira al-Saraf, who is the leader of the Elder Council, unloved by most. Ilam Wasema, who is apparently a family man. Toran Matush, police master and negotiator with a reputation for being fair, apparently, if somewhat overprotective. Noah Eni Uanu, the villagers avoid Noor and whisper about her dark desires. Our friend Noor isn't called Noor Eni Uanu, is she?
No. That's
the dead.
More
Noor.
than one person in the Horizon can share the same name.
Well, I'm conscious of that fact, Matthew. Thank you for pointing that out. But knowing how subtle your scenarios tend to be, I thought it was a clue worth following. Farouk Norak, an inventor of renowned wit. Kali Owaka, who's loved by the children for his stories. Ialu Uba, a teenage girl. And Panud Lay, or Lai, was that Lel? A courtesan. So we've got quite a big selection of potential Nazarene nasty people if you want to go and do something about them.
So Samesh Aleem's idea was...
Can I get you, Tony, now to make a data spider roll?
Data Gin, yeah.
Data Gin roll, sorry, not Data Spider. That's an entirely different game, probably.
No, I think Data Spider is the archetype, isn't it?
Somebody who uses Data Gin.
Yeah.
Yes, I can do that. Okay, I didn't get any successes though, obviously.
Okay, so all that information you've just downloaded was encrypted, but it's when he handed over the data stick, he'd handed over the key for it as well, so you were able to decrypt it, without there being any problem. However, you think there may be another layer of information
on there
as well, yeah,
which we can't get at.
which
obviously, because Tony failed his role.
Tony failed his role on. Yeah.
Oh, Yaqub, you've got one job, mate. I mean, come on.
If only Zaki hadn't been cast off the ship. Well, I say cast off the ship. I mean, literally thrown off the ship.
Well, I would like to point out that in our conversation subsequent to that event happening, Yaqub did agree wholeheartedly that I'd done the right thing.
Yeah, I know. You've done the right
So-
thing. Anyway, carry on, Tony.
Anyway, so I think the idea was there that was a kind of goodwill gesture to help us potentially take back to our employers and persuade them that Samish Lee was sincere and that he was worth working with.
Did he know who our employers were or supposedly are?
I think so. I'm not sure. We didn't openly discuss it. I don't think.
Okay.
I got the impression that he did know who we were sent by. Yes. And so,
Yeah,
as I said,
think he hinted that he knows that there's an agent of the Astaban on Zalos and that you had made contact with him.
And that we have been broadcast around the horizon as heroes of the Astaban.
He specifically noted that. He definitely, well, not heroes of the Astaban.
Heroes of the hegemony,
yeah, we're basically undercover.
No one will ever suspect.
Definitely saw you embraced by Captain Kassar. Pretty much everybody in the horizon has, I think.
So I've seen that video. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So I think I was kind of quite receptive to this approach from him. I did say, I have to go and discuss it with Oshian before we decided what to do. But everything was very cordial and going very well, and right up until the point where somebody poisoned his drink. So we were having a nice conversation, and then suddenly he kills over having been poisoned.
Poisoned by God! No, by Baldric, actually, but the effect is much the same.
That's early Blackadder reference.
Poisoned by maybe is what we know in the meta story, but your two characters don't know that. I just want to tell you an interesting thing. I encouraged Bruce that maybe may want to put more than one dose of poison into his drink, and Bruce put 2. Had he put 3 doses in, Salmesh would have died. Because Salmesh had this extraordinary number of hit points. But 3 doses would have killed him.
Yeah.
Presumably, can you get a crit from poison?
You can get a crit, but it's not a great crit table. We don't, there's different rules for crits and poison, and they don't amount to very much.
Is it slightly dodgy?
Generally, you roll your
You
you
feel
roll
like you've had a Vindaloo for a week.
Yeah, you roll your God. What's your physical stat other than I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, you roll to defend against poison. Otherwise, the effect is automatic.
Anyway, so we didn't know who had done the poisoning. I did try and do a bit of Medikirky. They did actually let me. Obviously, they suspected myself and Zaki immediately, but Samesh was down. I did persuade them to let me give him some medical attention, and then he was not going to die. He did wake up and see me doing that. So we didn't know who did the poisoning. We did know that it was Kerriff who then turned up and started shooting him.
Didn't start shooting. Well, he shot him once.
Then he shot him.
Was gut shot by
himself.
He shot him and a guard, I think, didn't he? Actually, I think
quite possibly, yeah.
And I think he gut shot the guard, but one of the other guards shot him and took him down.
So by this point, we obviously called Oshian in for the rescue. Who then flew the ship in, the ship which did not get shot down by the anti-aircraft turrets.
Which you, Dave, have a theory about, or Oshian has a theory about, do you?
Yeah, we can come to that, I guess. Let's come to that in a moment.
Okay.
So, obviously, we didn't know for sure. Obviously, Kerriff then had come in and shot Samesh and had gone against what we had decided to to do. As our employee, he was not following our instructions. As Oshian brought the ship in, we'd basically suspected all three, because obviously Kirif had employed Zaki and maybe we hadn't employed them directly. So the working assumption was that they would be siding with him in any conflict that might be taking place.
And there had been quite a lot of banter that had kind of, when I'd been saying, we are actually your clients. And they've gone, well, no, Kirif has employed us. So frankly, I wasn't convinced their loyalty was to us as opposed to Kirif. So
Oshian brought the ship in a rather daring and reckless maneuver with the landing gear retracted, brought it down, opened up the cargo bay doors for the other three to get in, but it basically secretly opened the airlock for me to get in at the side. So I legged it there, got there first, got in via the airlock. The other three, I think Zaki did actually manage to drag Kirif to the ship and get in, and get in into the cargo bay. But then Oshian took off vertically.
It does rather make Zaki complicit in the attempted murder. I hadn't thought about that, actually. That point where he drags the actual visible witnessed assassin into the ship.
So quite reasonably, we suspected that, Zaki and maybe run it. So, when Oshian took off vertically, everyone in the cargo bay then fell out of the cargo bay and were left behind as we legged it.
As I turned the ship deliberately to drop them out of the cargo doors, So I think as we were escaping, and we did make our escape, as part of that, I think we would have been trying to intercept and track Zolosian signals and data about what they're trying to do. And I think in that we picked up something about the anti-aircraft guns being deactivated. And in all of that data, we spotted a signature that we recognized as Zaki's computer. And therefore,
is this something you did later on, or something?
I think this is what we're doing as we're escaping. So as we're leaving Atmo and fleeing, we're monitoring the Zolosians' communications to try and help our escape. But in doing that, we then work out that someone had deactivated the anti-aircraft guns. And then in all that data, we see a signature that we recognize as Zaki's. And so I then realized that Zaki actually had deactivated those and therefore perhaps was maybe less culpable than otherwise. I guess it doesn't automatically mean, because he would still want to escape.
Yes.
It doesn't mean he was guiltless. But I think it perhaps feels to me now that this is possibly the first person who may have been innocent that I've sacrificed. I've made the decision to sacrifice for what I consider to be a greater good, which is my ability to continue the work, which I'm now getting a lot of mental internal desire and drive to complete.
Okay.
Well, he's not dead, is he? Zaki, as far as we know, Zaki's not dead. Did Kirif die when he fell out of the ship? Because he was already bad.
No, I don't think Kirif sustained any further injuries when he fell out of the ship. I think I rolled for those. But
he was dying in like 30 seconds, though, wasn't he?
Minutes as opposed to seconds, I think. Yeah. So he may be saved by the Zolosians.
So anyway, I suspect that these people aren't going to have a happy time of it in Zolosian custody, even if they survived the our departure. So this is my first occasion now that my alarms temple conditioning is beginning to come back to the fore, where I can now question myself over whether I did the right thing or not.
Yeah. Okay. You can question yourself about that. That's good. I will spend a darkness point and give you a hard time over it. Oh, how many mind points do you have?
I have 8.
I could spend 8 darkness points and give you 8 mind points damage.
Give me a breakdown. That's fine. I don't mind having a breakdown. By the time the next scenario comes around, I'll be all right. So fine. Give me 8. Give me 8 points and get rid of those darkness points, Matt. Come on. You said it now.
Okay. I'll do it. Now you're allowed to defend against it, I think, with empathy.
Okay.
Can I help him defend against it by morally supporting him and saying that, yeah, we definitely did the right thing with the information we had?
Okay, do you want to make a roll on Medicurgy?
Medicare.
Cancelling, I think, unless you've got
Okay.
another more appropriate cancelling skill.
Probably
Command,
not.
maybe?
No, I don't have any command, but I do have Medicurgy, so I can go for some Medicurgy. I'll get 1 success on that.
Okay, I'll let you roll your
I get a
empathy
bonus dice
plus
then.
1.
Right.
Yes.
And this is basically the armor against 8 mental damage.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I got 1.
Okay,
So
take
I'm
7
down-
points of mental damage, which is fine because when you're broken by mental damage, there are crits that I can deal out, but I won't.
Okay.
So unless anything else happens, like Hami the capybara suddenly keels over and dies in front of you in the bridge. How many darkness points would that be?
Yes, I have got quite fond of Hami the capybara.
I mean, have you seen him since you did that little barrel roll to get rid of everybody in the cargo hold?
Probably not. No.
She's like splattered on a wall somewhere.
No. He comes slowly past
I
as
was
you're
gonna
having
say
this
that
conversation, looking up at you, and then on a little bit further.
Okay, cool. I was going to say on Bruce's comment there about should have Hami looking disapproving at Oshian for the rest of the journey. So if he's going to do that, do you realise, Bruce, that he lives in the airlock now?
I think you will. You're going to have to find a bath for him to be in most of the time.
A
Because
bath.
It strikes me that capybaras like bathing, so you're going to need to find. You haven't got a. What do I call it?
The Arboretum's probably.
You have got an
a pool,
arboretum. You
hasn't it?
have got an arboretum, right? Okay. Then there's a pool in the arboretum, and that's where Hami spends most of his time.
I suspect, having done that sideways thing without the graviton stuff on, I suspect I might have to go and clean up the Arboretum somewhat.
Yeah, there might be. Yeah.
I think once we're safe, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend a couple of days cleaning up the Arboretum and fixing all of that as my way of getting over my almost breakdown.
Okay. Cool. That sounds good. And maybe making Hami a slightly more capybara friendly pool.
I could do that.
I don't know what capybaras need for pool friendliness, but I'm sure it's there on the bulletin somewhere.
Well, first and foremost, a swim up bar. And then
We've got the capybara care handbook that we can look at. Yeah, what capybaras need.
Can you look that up on the network, Toe, with your
On the
data
bulletin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can try.
How to look after capybara in one easy lesson.
I'm not referring to the rule books to find how to look up for capybara. I'm looking at
Capybara. So Bruce has just said ducklings ? Are you suggesting that capybara eat ducklings?
That's what
No,
capybaras eat.
I've seen capybaras seem to be incredibly friendly. I've seen them with ducklings on their heads. I've seen them with tortoises snuggled up to them while they're lying down. They seem to be just generally friends to all animals.
So they just want some other animal species as a.
Well, I say
as a friend,
friends. Maybe they're just plotting with the animals.
Are we going to turn our arboretum into a little zoo?
I
If
don't
we
know.
are,
It's
I want
entirely
some-
up to you.
I want
It's all
some
about their
red-
agency.
I want some red pandas if we do. Because they are the cutest creatures on the planet. Sorry, Hami. You're not very cute, mate. But at least he didn't leave you to die with that Scavara.
You left that Scavara to die, did you?
No, at least we didn't
no.
leave Hami with...
Oh, yeah. So are you saying you rescued him from the Scavara, or shall I just remind our viewers that the Scavara left and forgot to take him with him?
Well, hey, look, the Scavara isn't here, so I'm now writing the history. So we saved it from the Scavara.
You're telling Hami.
Well, I'm not sure Hami can understand when I say, Hami, You know that horrible Skavara? We rescued you from him. Does he just? I guess he looks at me blankly.
Yeah.
Does he go, "Wow, that's not how I remember it," but yeah.
With judgmental eyes. He feels like he was discarded by the Skavara in much the same way that you discarded Zaki.
Well, it wasn't dropped out of a spaceship, was it? Yes, it was taking off.
Right, so
Hey, look, I felt 7 mind points bad about Zaki.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
So that's how bad I felt.
And that's why you can read all that judgment in Hami's expression whenever he looks at you. Those big dark eyes. Those eyes are the darkness between the stars. You realise where all human guilt goes to live.
We've had one campaign. Thank you very much with a supernatural cat on board the ship the whole time.
He's not cursed. He's not a cursed capybara, even though that is alliterative. So maybe he should be.
How many darkness points for that then, Matt?
Oh, I don't know. No.
Spend 10, make him cursed, and then we'll punt him out the airlock.
No, I'm keeping the whole point of me saying it was a capybara was so that people didn't kill him. So anyway, you have a decision to make. You have some data. You have some data in effectively plain text. You think, Tony, there may be some other data in this key tag as well. But this data is about a cell. You currently have 2 employers, one of which, who I remind you, are the space Nazis, without any sense of judgment on that.
Okay. I would like to.
Very good people on both sides.
I would very much like to know what out there you would put a sense of judgment on if you're not going to put a sense of judgment on space.
No.
How far further?
Yes. Yeah. So you are employed by the space Nazis. They give you 20,000 birr a month. Segment, I should say. There's no such things as months in the Third Horizon. You are also employed by the Children of the Song. They give you sweet FA a month. That may influence your decision making. You've also turned down, I think technically you've turned down a job from the Order of the Flame or Cold Flame, whatever they're called. But you could go back and maybe say we want to be on your gang now. I don't know. That's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm not sure we turned them down. We were having a discussion when one of them got poisoned and we had to leg it because we were being suspected of said poisoning.
Does Yaqub get the sense from the moment of eye contact he had with what's his name, Samesh Alim, before we left? Does he get a sense that Samesh still maybe knows that we didn't poison him?
I got that. That's the impression I got from it. I think yes, because I was trying to help him. Basically, I was trying to treat him.
So he's left the door ajar. They can then interrogate. Maybe Zaki and Keref, if he survives, find out that maybe poisoned him. I think they caught maybe literally red-handed with the poison vial in their
not
hands.
Literally red-handed, but they did
literally red-handed in the metaphorical.
Palm off the poison.
literally red-handed in the metaphorical sense.
And yeah, I am just suddenly reminded that maybe the poison was red. I can't remember which poison they chose, but they did choose a poison out of this new book. Can't find it. Not looking for it now. I'll tell you the reason I'm not looking for it now. It's because every time I mentioned Shabbat Salim, I was looking for a picture of him, and I couldn't find the picture of him. And this is the picture of him. That is the man. Oops, that you went to see. I'll make myself bigger for this, shall I?
Yeah, go on.
That would help.
There we go.
Okay.
So that's Samesh Salim.
Okay.
He looks like the bloke who might have 13 hit points.
He does, doesn't he?
in this glyph armor and stuff like that. So very much a warrior monk. Anyway, I was looking for this picture, and now 4 weeks after I needed it, 6 weeks after I needed it, I finally found it. For reference, any other GMs out there, it's on page 91. Yes.
Okay.
So, and I guess, you could take this information and try and sell it to somebody else. You were approached by a number of other factions at the time where you decided to get into bed with the space Nazis.
Yes.
Do you want to bring us all back up, Matt?
No, actually, I rather like looking at my own face.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I was trying to make our viewing public slightly less concerned, but
Yeah, you're still here.
So I'm feeling the call of Alarm's Temple, and I think Yaqub, you probably are beginning to understand that something is changing in me, and it's something that was always there, but only recently has this murderous auto fire, multiple hacking people to death side of me come out, which is obviously trained there when I was very young and has been suppressed until recently. I think the same goes for my feelings towards Alarm's Temple as well. So I'd fled from Alarm's Temple on the instruction of my mother when they came and took my sister back when I was, I guess, but a late teenager. And I wonder if that was all part of their plan somehow. I don't know what their plan is, but the fact that Isabelita is around in Coriolis just when I needed to talk to her, and at the same time my conditioning starts to appear. I've got no mystical powers, so I don't think it's anything to do with this mystic's disease, or no mystical powers that I'm aware of. But I wonder, it feels connected. And I also, having experienced all of this and seen what happened to Noor and what happened, how many innocent people are getting caught up in all of this, I'm feeling a strong desire, a strong urge to do whatever I can to help plot the best course for the Third Horizon through all of this. So I think in that sense, playing off the Astaban or having them still think that we're loyal to them might be a useful thing, because we might be able to get information from them. But Yaqub, I don't know how you feel about all of this. I mean, your motivations are about Noor, aren't they? I think. But...
Well, they're partly about Noor, and trying to, I guess, sort of get revenge, but to arrange it so that the kind of same thing doesn't happen to too many other people. And I think also I feel a sense of loyalty to you, Oshian, and by letting Noor die, I feel like I let down my friend, her father, who I promised that I would look out for her. So I think quite strongly that I feel like I don't want to let you down. I want to support you in whatever you feel that you need to do.
I don't think you should blame yourself for Noor's death. I think you did everything we possibly could have done.
Even if rationally I can kind of come to that conclusion, I think, emotionally I still feel a sense of failure about not being able to save her.
If we do go down this line, then we may have to make decisions that are very grey in nature and might result in harm coming to some people for the better good of everybody else.
Yeah, I guess that's whatever we do, whatever course we take, that's probably a risk. I think we need to take the course that we feel is like you say, the best one for the third horizon. I think there's no course of action that's risk free, is there, that we could take for us or potentially for other people.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that we might have that decision in our hands at some point, and we might need to decide. I've been trying to hesitate to use this phrase all evening, but I'm going to use it. That the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
And who are the few you're thinking of here?
Well, we don't know yet. That's the point. We don't know what action we might be able to take to try and stop this. There might be innocent. Let's say, for example, we hunt down these Nazarene sacrifice people. There might be innocent people there who've just been dragged into a cult and have been indoctrinated.
Brainwashed, yeah.
Actually, they're not bad people and could be rescued, but we wouldn't have the time to rescue them, so we might have to just kill them, or see harm done to them. Zaki, and maybe for a start. I'm just reading Bruce's comments.
Yeah.
It's not my view or anything.
Just to prove it.
But we don't know. We don't know what the situation is. But the Alarms Temple has the health of the Third Horizon as an organism in itself as its highest ideal, and not the individual health and well-being of those who live within it. I think the reasoning being that if the Third Horizon is protected and healthy and safe and secure, then the vast majority of people would benefit from that. Whereas if it's insecure and under threat or at war, then the vast majority of people will suffer from that. But that might mean that difficult and morally ambiguous choices have to be made at some point.
Well, I think we'll just have to face those decisions when they transpire. So what the best course of action is at the time. If, as you say, we're in a position to have an influence.
I think we are for whatever reason, for good or bad, we are kind of central to this story. We've been involved in hunting down the emissary who was lost. We were central to hunting down and working out what's happening to the mystics who were being gathered together. We were there in Uhara when the butterfly ship came in. We found a butterfly ship on the moon. We are. It feels that the darkness between the stars has us inextricably intertwined with this story one way or another.
And many of the factions involved also seem to be quite interested in our involvement as well. So I guess the decision to make is what do we think is the best course of action for the Third Horizon? So you've got Alarms Temple, who are, as you say, have the health of the overall Third Horizon at heart. There's the Cold Flame organization, who are claimed to be working to protect the Third Horizon from the butterfly ships and the incursion from the First Horizon. And certainly Samesh Alim, I was convinced, was very sincere in that aim. But obviously we're still working technically for the Esteban, so even if we don't agree with their aims, potentially that's something that we could still use to our advantage.
I wasn't suggesting that we should renounce the Esteban. because not only do we need to fund what we're doing, and they are paying us a lot of money, I might be fooling myself in thinking that we're in quite a good position to learn stuff from the inner workings of the Azkaban, because I don't suppose they trust us and would tell us anything that they didn't want us to know. But we do have that access, and that might give us opportunities to learn stuff that they might otherwise want to withhold from us. And it feels to me that the Azkaban and the hegemony are going to be key players in this one way or another. And having a way in to the Azkaban is probably useful for us for as long as we're able to maintain it. I think, after this mission, we were probably, if it had gone according to the way we'd wanted it to, that might have ended our association with the Azkaban because we didn't follow their orders.
Yeah, so obviously as far as they're concerned now, in theory, we did at least try to kill Sameshaline.
Yeah.
The fact that Zaki and Kerifan maybe didn't get away presumably means they're not in a position to report back that it was in fact them we just tried to assassinate Sameshaline while we were having a nice chat with him. So
I guess also as player characters, they don't know what happened when we escaped. I wasn't laughing over the intercom going, ha ha ha, back to Salos, you traitors.
Screw you, space Nazis, or anything like that.
So all they know is that something went horribly wrong as I took off. And as a result of that, the ship got pitched on its side and they fell out, and I didn't come back for them.
Yeah. So they don't necessarily know
it was an accident. I'm not sure. Let's ask Bruce and Mohammed whether their characters think it was an accident or not.
No, but I think as characters, they wouldn't know all the conversations that we've had.
No.
So I think in the same way that I don't know maybe is definitely the poisoner, they don't know for sure that I deliberately pitched them out of the ship. So I think.
No, although the fact that I went in via the airlock rather than the cargo bay,
it doesn't matter. It's your ship as well. So
suggestive that was deliberate, but yeah.
Just suggested that you came into a different route.
Yeah. So, I guess we have to decide then what do we tell the Azkaban when we go back then? How open do we be? Do we give them do we tell them about the conversation we had, Semish? Do we give them the data that Semish gave us?
I think we want to find out what else is on this thing before we go back to the Azkaban.
Yeah.
Now,
presumably, having failed one roll to try and crack that encryption, presumably I can't have another go. Do we need to find somebody else to try and decrypt it for us?
I don't know whether you technically actually tried to spot. Well, I guess you did. Yeah, I think there may be some other key you need to decrypt it.
So we haven't used our friend in every port talent for a long time. I'm wondering, is there between here and Ordana, can we invoke that talent and have a data gin cracking friend somewhere on the way, maybe in Iwaz or something?
Can I first of all kind of warn you against going directly to Ordana, or rather remind you about how comms works in this country, in that you if you want to report back, you generally have to go back to somebody. You can't leave a message to these guys saying, "We're in Ordana, here's the data."
Okay, that's fine. I guess we're given some level of initiative to act on stuff. So if we chose to go straight to follow up a lead, then I think I would be happy to argue that with our Azkaban overseers. But I think in the first place, we want to find somewhere where.
Although, to be honest, we'll have to pretty much go through Kura to get to Ordana, don't we?
Well, I was just going to try and bring the map up to.
Ordana is in the quadrant of the pillar.
Yeah.
So the quickest route is to go back through Kua to get there. I'm wondering, though, I was going to ask a moment ago, Matthew, at this point in the scenario, where are we? Did we manage?
Probably, if we said you'd escaped, we have hand waved you. I think getting through the Zalos gate, the Zalos portal.
So I wonder whether in our probably 3 days it's taken us to fly to the portals, we're having some of this conversation, and whether we actually make our escape to Mirror rather than the other way. Yeah. And when we report back, we say, well, getting out of Zalos was a complete nightmare. We were at the Mirren portal. We decided to take it.
Okay, so the Mirrens would bring you. I'm just trying to look for the bloody map. I know I've got a map among my files here. And if I'd thought about it, of course, I would have thought, oh, well, you probably want a map. But I'm not seeing the map I had.
Let me have a quick look, see if I can find one.
I thought I'd got the map.
I've got the map up if there's any way for me to share it.
Yes,
yeah, you can share it, Tone.
Just share screen, Tony. I'll put it up on the screen when you do. This is a bit of silence that will cut out of the podcast eventually.
But anyway,
try that. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Excellent.
I will, in fact, make it.
Can you zoom on it?
Can't I zoom it in?
Can you zoom in,
Matthew?
No, you have to do the zooming. That's I've zoomed in as far as I've made this the whole screen.
Yeah.
Got to zoom in on the.
That's good. Yeah,
that bit there,
cool.
yes.
Yeah.
So you have been here. You were either going to Awaz or Mirror.
Yeah. So back to my question about do we have somebody somewhere using our friend in every port talent that we know we could go to be able to crack this for us?
Well, my immediate thought is Mirror. So there are two sort of arms.
Okay, Matt, I'm not catching you now.
No, you're breaking up.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay, you're back now.
I'm back.
Yep.
As you will be aware, Alarms Temple are kind of discreet, and they don't rule planets or anything like that. Your sister is on Kua at the Courtesan Academy there. There is another Courtesan Academy, you think, in Mirror, and it could be you've got a contact. If that's the way you said you're going, you could have a contact there.
Yeah, maybe we've got a contact in like the Mirren security forces. We can go and tell them that we know the location of a top Mirren criminal.
Especially if there's a reward.
Or you can define, if you want to go to Mirror, then just define who it is. But my immediate suggestion is, if you're thinking about exchanging data with the Alarms Temple, then there is a Temple of Alarm here on Mirror. I can't quite remember what there is, but I'm sure I can look it up.
Now, Oshian, if we're thinking of going that way and going to Ordana ourselves, what's our plan when we go there? What are we going there to achieve? Do you think?
It's a good question.
Because we've got some potential Nazarene sacrifice agents named, but what are we going to do about them? Are we going to there to assassinate them, or to kind of check them out and see if we think they really are Nazarene sacrifice agents, and that the information we've got from Samash Elim is reliable?
You could take a bunch of assassins to assassinate them, and then decide to have a conversation with them instead and find out that really they're very nice guys, and actually it's another faction that are really bad guys, and they want you to join their faction.
It might be, yeah. Going on what happened in the other ones, then that wouldn't be outside the bounds of possibility.
Trouble is, yeah, we just believe whoever the last person we speak to.
We're nice guys. We like to assume the best of people, you know.
Would be rubbish on a jury. Whoever went last would basically get the decision.
Yeah. So I suspect that I think we're probably going there just to investigate them in the first instance. Maybe we'd want to try and kidnap one and interrogate them, perhaps. Ideally, doing it discreetly.
It's us. Discreet is our middle name.
Yeah. So I guess the other question is, if we do go the Mirren way, then I guess we have to go through Oedicon and Zhao, don't we?
Which is, even on the map, is marked as a dangerous area.
Yeah. In our ship that's got no weapons. Or defences.
Excuse me. I should have muted that, but I didn't have time.
You should have done, yeah. So I guess the risk is we get back to Kua and we are kind of forced to report back to the Astaban before we get the chance to.
Well, remember the Astaban aren't particular. Well, they're agents, but your boss in the Astaban isn't on Kua. She is. Let's go big.
Jamado. Jamado?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's where we were supposed to take the profits when we talked to them. But we're supposed to get one of them to come with us to Almeida.
Yeah, that didn't pan out, did it?
No.
Because somebody killed one of them?
Yeah, one of them just died.
So I'm beginning to get really quite jumpy about having people that I don't know terribly, characters that I don't know very well working for us, because they all fuck things up.
Indiscriminately just kill people that we're having a nice chat with.
Nothing personal to the lovely players, but your characters are shit, and they are a right pain in the arse. But anyway, okay. So maybe going back to Kua is the better option then.
Yes.
We could meet up with Isabelita or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the meantime, what are we? We're going to have to, I guess, report back to the Esteban in some way or another. So what are we going to tell them?
I just want to point out, when it comes to decrypting it, Mohammed and indeed Bruce says, actually, what you could do.
I'm looking forward to the day when I'm sat on the sidelines and heckling Bruce comments. And Mohammed, make sarcastic comments about what their characters did last time.
But I will say, rather than make you specifically go off there, if you meditate to the messenger, maybe in the temple, you could have another go.
Okay.
Since you're now decided you're on your way to Kua, are we?
Yes.
That's probably safer than going through Oedicon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Can we just
briefly want to say that the original idea was to go straight to Oedicon, and now you're going in exactly the opposite route.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, look,
I might have predicted it. I did predict it.
We raise ideas, we discuss them, we come up with better ones,
and then you do the exact opposite.
Perfectly sensible thing to do. On this roll, can we have Mohammed, can Zaki have his one phone call and give Tony an extra bad help?
No.
Yeah, you can phone Zaki and say, look, we're sorry we dropped you out.
Keep reminding you. Communications in this thing happens at light speed, and as soon as you pass through a portal, you are out of range.
I know. It wasn't a serious suggestion, Matt.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah. Was it not?
Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's.
Okay, I'll try again. Shall I stop sharing?
Hang on, Bruce. You were employed by Kerif, not by us.
As you
problem,
were quite insistent at pointing out, actually.
which made us doubt your loyalty. So I dumped you out of the ship. So
let's face it, Bruce, you did poison the guy they were trying to. Right, okay. So do you want to make another roll on that encryption?
Yes, so I will pray to the messenger first. So that when I inevitably have to push, as I do, yes, and
sadly, I can't help you with this.
okay. So after pushing, Matthew, I have a darkness
Yeah.
point. I get 2 successes.
Excellent. 2 successes. I will give you 2 messages that are addressed actually to you.
To Yaqub.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know whether actually just they mention Yaqub by name, but they're speaking very much in the sort of third person, as though everything else was kind of his list of data. This is like a letter to the. Doesn't necessarily say Yaqub, but it kind of says to the reader. And as you read it, you think, "This is to you." And what it says is. You can share the data here with your employers, whoever they are. But we should warn you about 2 other, we think now, eliminated Nazarene sacrifice agents that we located. One was in our own ranks. And that was... damn it, I've lost the detail now. Shit. Where'd it go? I put this book away. I was going to tell you this earlier on when you failed the first roll.
Was this done by dictation or like automatic? Damn, fuck, I've lost where the thing is. Oh, there you are.
Was it there? Oh.
It's my desperate attempt to cover your silence there, Matt. So
yeah, go ahead. Go cover. Do more covering. Because something about these books, you find the stuff you want, and then
6 months after you need it.
Well, I had it all in advance, but I've just closed the book, and then it's gone. Just gone. Here we go. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. One of this was our own Deacon Salamar, who operated the warriors, or who led, I should say, the warriors of the Holy Light, a fanatical splinter group. That person, or Deacon Salamar, was in contact with a false prophet called Priyat Shalbun, who we believe was an Astaban agent, or was representing the Astaban in hiring Deacon Salamar to cause chaos and disruption on Coriolis. We believe they were both agents of the Nazarene.
So what was the second name there? The false prophet? Priyat
Shabun. CHBAUN. Now, I can't remember whether he introduced you to him by name, but there's some waffle in there, a bit of a description. Do you remember the guy who said he was an Astaban agent in the hospital when you attacked the disused hospital in the swamps?
Yes, I was thinking it might be him.
Yeah. So the description of this person is him. The Salamar is the woman you killed with automatic fire in the airlock. But
In the airlock?
yeah, in the
In the sort of antechamber room there.
in
This is at
what
the
had
hospital.
been an old hangar, and therefore when the doors exploded, was a
Oh,
massive
on Coriolis.
on Coriolis. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad she's dead.
Eventually, of course,
She did teach
come
me
back to life.
she did teach me a very valuable lesson, which is once they're
Shoot them
down,
in the head.
fucking finish them off.
So this
Potentially,
message
I
is
should say
fly.
potentially if they're Celestians, because they may not be down as
Yeah.
Salamar as
Deacon
Aline
Salamar
just-
proved.
yeah. But yes, he believes that she was, if you like, the highest ranking Nazarene agent within the Order of Zalos, and that there was this other chap was an agent within the Astaban. And that's written to you as a warning, almost as though he knows who you're working for, but it doesn't say that's who you're working for.
So this false prophet that was an Astaban agent was actually secretly a Nazarene
Also-
sacrifice agent as well.
Yes.
So I think it raises the question for us of whether we declare any of this information to the Astaban. Or whether we tell the Astaban that they've got agents working within them who are, whether we say they're Nazarene sacrifice or not.
Well, what would we go by not telling the Astaban? Because do we particularly want these Nazarene sacrifice agents to remain undetected?
No, that's a fair point.
Plus, if we're also going to be pretending to still be working for the Astaban, giving them information of this nature, if it proves to be reliable, is potentially
Yes.
It's potentially a way of proving our loyalty, getting to trust us a bit more. And like I say, we don't particularly have any need to want to protect these Nazarene sacrifice agents, do we?
No, that's a fair point. I guess then, does that support us just being completely open with them? Then, I mean, we could say that we think Samesh Alim is dead. He'd been shot and he'd been poisoned when we had to beat our retreat. But our investigations have unearthed this information. We don't have to tell them how we got it.
Yes, we don't have to say, yeah, we had a nice chat with him and he gave us this information, I guess.
We could say we managed to infiltrate their restricted areas, which we did. And as a result of that, we were able to find this information. But it's a bit patchy. We haven't got any identities of any of the Astaban. If there are any more Astaban Nazarene sacrifice agents, we haven't got the identities, but we've got intelligence that suggests there are some. Do we need to go back to Almeida to give them this information, or presumably there's an office on Coriolis or something?
Yeah. If you remember, there was a you have an apartment in the
Oh yeah.
in the monolith on Kua.
Yep.
And there's definitely a contact there. I can't remember her name, but a young lieutenant who will pass messages. You maybe should be careful not to strictly mention Astaban. Just pass messages to the naval officer who is your commander within the Astaban.
Yeah.
But there is a way of getting messages to her. That's from the monolith, but again, you should contact her from Kua, and you may want to see her face to face, or
I guess so. I guess then that comes back to your question of about half an hour ago, Tone, of what are we actually doing with these guys in Ordana? So the Astaban might give us some orders, I guess, which might push our hand in one way or another. But otherwise, I suspect we want to go there and find out more about them and probably kidnap one and interrogate them.
Yeah, I guess there's a reasonable chance that if we give the Esteban this information, that's what they'll ask us to do anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are
We
you
could
also-
always go with that as our proposal of what our next steps should be.
Are you
Sorry, Matthew.
also going to see your sister and exchange information with her?
I think we go and see her first. Yeah.
Yes.
And exchange information with her?
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we call it quits at 9:35? There may still be some football left, Dave.
It's 3-1 to France now, so it's probably not worth watching the last 20
Oh,
minutes.
yes. Last 10 minutes. What happened with Croatia and Spain?
That's true.
Valid point. Valid point.
All the goals are scored in the last 5 minutes of a game, apparently.
Well, I'll have to go downstairs and tell Jenny that she's got to stop watching whatever she's watching and put the football back on again.
You can put it on this very computer that you're looking at my face. You could replace my face with a big green lace.
I guess I could, yes.
Very well.
So,
Okay.
next time we are going to see Isabelita, report back to the Esteban, and go from there.
Yes, I just want to address this comment from Randy Crockett, who's talking about.
But he's not wrong, is he? Though, Matt.
He's not wrong. No.
I'm getting a sense, Randy, that he's going to say something stupid now. So
No, I have sticky tabs.
Just in the wrong book.
But yes, I'm crap at using sticky tabs, Randy. I'll admit that. But thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and
thanks everybody, as always.
and we will come back next week with a new mission or something that starts on or around Coriolis. Cool. Or I might spend a bunch of these darkness points making your life getting to Coriolis really difficult. We'll see how it goes. It does mean that there probably won't be any guest stars next week because there's still a little bit for you guys to do.
I would like to say that from now on, I'm going to be much more choosy about who we invite into our team and want to be involved in the recruitment process and all that.
Yeah.
Ideally, it's only people that we know and trust. Anybody else is going to be...
What about that bloke, the slightly dodgy dealer bloke, as played by Neil, who is on holiday this week and next week, but could maybe join us the week after?
I don't remember any reason to distrust Neil. I thought he was an honourable character, so that should be fine.
Yeah, well, that maybe he's probably still banging about on Coriolis looking for something. So we'll suggest that to him for whatever your next mission is. Anyway, thanks very much, everybody. We'll say goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
See you next